For years, connected vehicle safety has been built around one basic idea. The car crashes, the airbag deploys, a signal gets sent, someone is notified, and help is dispatched. And that was a major step forward, but it's not the finish line. Because the future of emergency response is not just knowing about that something has happened. It's about knowing enough, early enough, to begin doing something about it. What if the first witness to a serious crash is not a person on the side of the road? What if the first witness is the car, or the sensor, or the telematics platform, or the connected system that knows there was a high-speed impact before the driver or a passerby can even call, and certainly before the first responder is even assigned? Yeah, that changes the question. It's no longer just, can the car call 911? The better question is, can the crash activate the right response? EMS, rescue, traffic control, drone first response, trauma coordination, and maybe someday even specialized medical resources that are moving towards the scene before anyone has eyes on the vehicle. That's coming up next on TiPS Today in Public Safety.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories in public safety news. Here's your host, Fletch, with today's tips.
Welcome to TiPS Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I'm a NENA certified ENP. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I bring you the latest telecommunications news and public safety technology. And today we're talking about a conversation that started just this past weekend on the 4th of July. Now, in the midst of thinking about fireworks, cookouts, traffic, and whether the hot dogs are going to survive on the grill, a LinkedIn discussion snuck in and started talking about the future of automotive emergency response. Lawrence Williams had made a point that caught my attention. He said the future of automotive safety is not going to be measured by how quickly we report an airbag deployment. No, it's going to be measured by how quickly we initiate life safety operations. Now, I thought about that, and that's a powerful distinction because reporting isn't the same thing as actually responding, and notification isn't the same thing as activation. For years, connectivity in vehicles and emergency response has centered around one question: how fast can the crash be reported? But the next generation of public safety has caused us to ask something much bigger, and that's, once the vehicle, the sensor, or the platform knows that a crash has occurred, what should happen next? From notification to activation. Over the years, 911's always depended heavily on human reporting. Someone sees something, someone hears something, someone calls, and someone explains what happened. But crashes get messy. The driver may be unconscious. The vehicle may be down an embankment, and that crash may have happened at night with no witness. As for the caller, they may not know their location, and at times, nobody's able to call at all. And that's why automatic crash notification has become such an amazing advancement. The vehicle's able to detect a crash. Airbags deploy as it's happening. The location is captured, and a telematics provider can query the vehicle for other data as well as notify 911. That was huge progress, real progress. But when you think about it, it was still mostly a notification model. It told someone that something had happened, but activation is actually very different. Activation means the data can help answer things like, how serious was it? Where exactly is it? What kind of response might be needed based on the data? And what's most important to get moving right now? For example, a minor bump in the parking lot doesn't require the same response as a high-speed rollover on a rural roadway. And a driver who says, "No, I think I'm okay," is very different from a crash where no response is heard from inside the vehicle. And from the vehicle's perspective, an electric vehicle crash is going to raise different responder safety concerns than a gasoline-powered vehicle in an accident. And a crash on a blind curve at night is likely to create secondary crash risks well before the first unit even arrives. And this is where the data begins to matter a lot, but not as a replacement for the telecommunicator, not as a replacement for EMS, fire, rescue, law enforcement, or incident command. No, it needs to exist as an earlier starting point. Because in the old model, we asked, can the vehicle call 911? And in the new model, we asked, based on data, can the crash start the right emergency response? The first unseen witness. This brings us right to the subtitle of this episode, when the first unseen witness is not the responder. What's that mean? Well, in many emergencies, the very first witness may not be a person. It may be the vehicle, a phone, a wearable device, a road sensor, a camera, or a digital license plate. Or it may be a drone, a satellite-connected device, or an AI-assisted platform that's recognizing that something abnormal just happened. Now, that witness doesn't describe the scene like a person would. It's not going to say, hey, I just saw a car drift across the road, hit a guardrail, spin around, and then land in the ditch. No, it's going to say, impact detected, airbag deployed, rollover likely, vehicle stopped, occupant response unknown, location confidence high. Now, that's not a story, that's data. But that data needs to be trusted, organized, and delivered properly in order for it to be enough to start building the story before a human caller can tell it. Now, as for the data, it may not be complete, and automation may not understand the emergency the same way a person does. But it also may know something very important before anyone else. And in public safety, knowing something important a little earlier can change the response. NG911 and the event package. This is where next generation 911 becomes a little important and special. Legacy 911 was built around voice. The call came in, a location record appeared, but it was based on the phone number, and data was gathered by the telecommunicator talking directly to the caller. Now that model still matters. Voice still matters. Human conversation still matters. But the emergency itself is becoming more data-rich. And next generation 911 gives us a path for emergency calls, but adds location, text, additional data, multimedia from the scene, and related information moving through an IP-based public safety network. Now that really matters because the crash of the future may not arrive as one simple phone call. It may show up as an event with crash-related telemetry. That may include location, severity indicators, vehicle information, as well as sensor context, responder information, and distribution needs that may go well beyond the ECC. But remember, next generation 911 is great, but it only gives us the road. It's public safety that still has to decide what belongs on that road. And that's where the public safety event package comes into play. And that's not just a call, not just an alert, not just a simple crash notification. It's a structured set of trusted information helping public safety understand the emergency as an event. Its formal name in the standards is EIDO, standing for Emergency Incident Data Object. Think of it like a bucket that everybody gets a copy of. Now, for a serious crash event, that bucket might include things like location, impact severity, rollover status, vehicle type, whether anyone responded, whether the vehicle is still moving, and whether EMS, fire, rescue, law enforcement, or trauma coordination should be something that's considered. And just as important, where did all this data come from? How confident are we that it's valid? Is it actionable? And that's because public safety doesn't just need more random data. What public safety actually needs is organized awareness. And where data is raw, awareness is usable. And activation requires awareness. Drones, blood, and the edge of the future. So now let's talk about part of the discussion that pushes the edge of the future. Now I'm talking about things like drone first response, pre-hospital blood, and specialized resources moving towards a crash scene before anyone is physically there. Now for some people that may sound too futuristic, and I get that, but times are moving fast. And other things that were odd to this industry not too long ago were things like automatic crash notification, next-gen 911, multimedia, real-time video into public safety, and drone first responders. So the first question is not whether every crash gets a drone or not. It won't. The question isn't whether every crash gets medical supplies flown into the scene. It won't. Now the real question is whether the most serious crashes are able to be identified early enough that we can start moving different resources sooner. A drone may arrive before the first patrol unit, and its cameras may confirm entrapment, fire, blocked lanes, or any secondary crash risks. It might provide EMS with valuable severity indicators well before they're on scene, which ultimately allows a trauma center to gain earlier notice of an inbound patient. And the cool part is, none of that is science fiction. What it is emergency response beginning earlier because the system had enough trusted information to act. But by all means, this cannot be a free-for-all, because the future is not about sending everything to every crash every time. That would just create digital chaos and make the problem worse. No, the future is about knowing when a crash is serious enough to start moving something differently than in the past, and that's activation. The reality check. Now, before we totally go off the rails, let's pump the brakes just a little bit here. The problem is technology always sounds great in the demo. Things like connected vehicles, telematics, AI, drone first responders, satellite connectivity, digital license plates, pre-hospital logistics, and next generation 911 data exchange. Wow, all of that sounds so powerful. And while it is, powerful doesn't automatically mean operationally ready. There's still a great deal of questions that need answers. Who owns it? Who validates it? Who decides what gets sent? And after that happens, who receives it first? The ECC, EMS, a trauma center, a drone team, or maybe a transportation center, an incident command platform? And if more than one group receives it, who's coordinating the response? And what happens if the data is wrong? What happens when the system overstates the crash severity? Or what happens if it understates it? Where's the audit trail? And what's the privacy model look like? And opening the kimono for data to come in also opens the kimono for data to go out. So what's the cybersecurity model look like? As well as the operational policy. But the most important question of all, does this help the telecommunicator? And what about the first responder? How does it impact them? Or are we just adding another screen with another alert and another portal and yet one more thing to have to manage? Because if that's what this becomes, that's not innovation. No, that's just more clutter, because more data is not automatically better data. The last thing public safety needs is another digital junk drawer. What it needs is structured, trusted, operationally meaningful information that helps people make better decisions. The human still matters. Innovation means is that it replaces people. No, the telecommunicators still matters. Dispatchers still matter. EMS matters. Fire and rescue still matter, as does law enforcement and incident command. And that's because the human still owns the response. Technology? Yeah, that can detect. Technology can package. Technology can help route and make recommendations. Technology can still decide, prioritize, and coordinate. It can also question, validate, and act upon that information. So the goal is not to take humans out of the emergency response chain. The goal is to give them a much better starting point. And although the system may witness the crash first, it's the humans that still own the response. That wraps up this episode of Tips Today in Public Safety. This is Fletch. I hope we opened your thinking on this topic a little bit and sparked some new ideas. Remember to follow, like, and subscribe. And if you're in public safety, as always, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you next time. Stay safe. Hey, it's Fletch. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you learned something new. Remember to catch all of my previous episodes of Tips Today in Public Safety, published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on most social media platforms and streaming 24/7 at 911tips.com. My blogs are located at fletch.tv, and my professional website is at fletch911.com. Remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out the algorithms. And if you're in public safety, thanks for what you do every single day. We'll catch you next time. Take care.
You've been listening to Tips Today in Public Safety, your go-to podcast for today's breaking stories and public safety news. Hosted by Fletch and available every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Catch past episodes on 911tips.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and remember to join us each week for the latest on NG 911. I am Spider Harrison, the official 911 voiceover dude. Catch me on Sirius XM on various channels, including 90s on 9, the 10 spot, and on the Weekend Countdown on Hits 1. Or don't regret it for the rest of your life. Either way, I'm good.